started painting in 1998 and really enjoyed painting. And I was working, actually my background is I'm a nurse. And then I went to work for a pharmaceutical company. So I started taking painting lessons from a local artist back in 98. And then in 2003, I started working with, I'll call them cheaper findings, you know, acrylic beads and head pins and things like that. And I worked my way up to using fine silver, sterling silver. So I really enjoyed that creative process because it was something that you could sit down and, you know, come up with something in a fairly short period of time and then move on, whereas a painting takes, I'm a very slow painter. I won't jeopardize the quality of my work in my jewelry or my art for time. So I found that it was sort of like instant gratification. And then I just delved deeper. It's sort of like going in Pinterest. You just keep going down that rabbit hole. I just kept, you know, finding new findings and new materials and new beads, and just really enjoyed the jewelry. So that really took off in about 2005 when I opened my store on Duckworth Street. Self-taught. For art, I did take some lessons from a local artist for like one night a week for a couple of years. But I'm not formally trained. I have no arts degree or anything like that. The jewelry, I'm completely self-taught. In 2001, we built our summer home here. And the summers kept getting longer and longer because we enjoyed it so much. So I had an opportunity to sell my business in 2010 in St. John's. Kids were raised on their own, they were educated. And so we thought, and my husband had retired. Yeah, he had retired by then. So I thought I'd sell the business, you know, and move out here and open a studio. And I built this building, or had this building built, stage right on the water. And now it's our permanent home. So we are here now, we'll be 5 years in March permanently. We sold a house in St. John's and moved out here. But, you know, Trinity is one of the most inspiring places, I think, in the world. You know, we sit here in the window and watch the boats come in and the people and the waves and the ice in the winter, and it's just, every day is different. It's absolutely, love it here. So when I built the shop here in 2011, I sold my business in town in 2010, built this in 2011, opened up the space as a retail space. It isn't a big space, it's 60 by 24, but it certainly housed everything that I had, and I wanted to represent fine craft. I didn't want any imported goods or things like that. I wanted to be able to tell the story of the artist, just like I like people to tell my story. So I was doing great, you know, it went really well for a number of years, and as the jewelry business expanded, we kept running out of space and time. I mean, you need to have time to dedicate to your craft. And I found that I was spending a lot of time in the retail location. So I had the retail store for 12 years. And then I have now over 80 retail locations in Canada alone, and some in the US. And I thought, well, you know, better to spend my time doing what I love. Not that I didn't love the retail, because I did. I really love enjoying meeting people. But, you know, summer's only basically 8 weeks, and we're open 7 days a week. This way, there's a better work-life balance. I get to come down. If I want to come here at 6 o'clock in the morning and fill an order and then go golfing or go out in the boat whale watching or cod jigging or whatever, it really frees up my time. So a much better work-life balance for me. And more space. I would now have the entire retail space as a working studio, and I also offer some classes during the summer, so that, you know, works out really, really well for me. Yeah. So there's a couple of ways to get in touch with me. My website, elizabethburry.com, pretty simple, just my name. I'm on Facebook, I'm Elizabeth Burry Design, as well as Instagram, Elizabeth Burry Design. And yeah, they can reach out through email, elizabethburrystudios@gmail.com. So I'm not hidden away. They can get me pretty easy if they want to. It can come from nature. It can come from sometimes literally the chips will fall. Something will fall there and I'll go, oh my God. Like for instance, these earrings, Lisa and I designed these this morning because I'm trying to get some new things ready for shows now coming up in January and February that we travel around the country doing. And So I've been making these little components, and we literally came up with these this morning just through sitting down and putting things together. Sometimes I'm inspired by people. I name all my jewelry after women, and sometimes men, but usually friends, family, and inspiring women. Most of our jewelry is geared to women. I have been asked the odd time to make men's jewelry, but we don't get a really big demand for it. And it's like working in gold. It's a whole other market. So we do tend to stick to, to more, I'll say, women's jewelry, if you will. So yeah, my influences come from all over the place. And I've actually had customers design pieces. Funny story. We had a lady come in here last summer, and I was in the back in the studio making something and came out. And I was wearing the earrings that I had just made, just like these now. We always like to test drive them, right? And so she said, "Oh my God, I love those earrings you're wearing." And I said, "Well, I'm actually designing those for a show, coming up in the fall." She said, "Can I buy them?" And I said, "I guess so." If somebody wants your work, right? That's very flattering. So I said, "Sure, okay." And she said, "Well, could you also put an earring component on a chain?" Okay, come back in an hour or so. So she came back, she went to lunch, she came back. And she was absolutely thrilled. She was from the States. And as she was leaving, I said, "By the way, what's your name?" And she said, "Oh, my name is Marlene." And I said, "Well, Marlene, that's what these are called. You designed them. You inspired me to make the necklace," which I hadn't gotten to at that point. And she, I'm sure she did, her feet didn't touch the pavement going out the door. She was just thrilled. And that's what it's all about. It's about making people feel good about what they're wearing and bringing out a little bit of their personality. Some people like shorter, daintier things, and other people like chunkier or longer things, or and so if what I make makes them feel better about themselves or about what they're wearing or how they're presenting themselves, then I'm happy. I've done my job. I love color. I love Newfoundland, and I love landscapes. And if I live to be 150, I will never get to paint all the scenes that I want to paint. I just spent a week with my husband going across, just from here to Twillingate. And I just, picture after picture, I think he got tired of me saying, "Stop, stop." But it's very easy when you're in a car, but we were in a 27-foot RV. You don't stop that on a dime. So I'd have to say, "Could you turn around and go back?" Anyway, I'll never get to paint everything I want to paint in this lifetime. So I guess I'll have to come back. So a few years back, my daughter moved into a new house, and she said, "Mom, I'd like some of your artwork, but I don't really want Newfoundland landscapes." I mean, they saw that growing up all their life. And I said, "Well, what would you like?" And she said, "I don't know, something like more contemporary, that kind of thing." So I did a couple of really different things. I don't know if you're familiar with a guy named, oh my God, his name is Joe Ordinary or something like that. Anyway, his kind of style, which I'd always really admired, which is kind of like outlined in black. So I did a couple of women, side women, big lips, hair, eyes. She absolutely loved it. Every time I go into her house now, I look at it and I'm like, I did that. I'm not a fan of you having to have a style. Because you look at someone and say, "Oh, that's not their style." Well, their style is whatever you want it to be. It's like me making the same jewelry over and over. I don't. And do I want people to recognize my work? Yeah, I would love people to recognize my work. I love that. But I also don't want to be held in a box of, I have to create this because that's not my style. So as much as I like bold colors, I like somewhat realism, as you can tell from my artwork. But I'm hoping to do a new series this year, and it will be a little bit different. It will be still colorful. It'll still be landscapes, but maybe a little bit looser. And I'm not one to, as I said, to jeopardize my work for time. If it takes me a day, if it takes me a week, if it takes me a year, I want to be happy with whatever it is, whether it be my artwork or my jewelry when it goes out the door. So, I can't really say, I guess I do have a style, but I'm trying to expand that style. I would have to say it's a piece called Sophia, which is retired right now because it's probably the most intricate and time-consuming piece that we do. It's all triangle labradorite pieces, but I just absolutely love that. I love labradorite. If I could work just in labradorite, I would, but probably making my weirs a little bit narrow, and there's so much else out there to work with. But yeah, I'd have to say it would have to be labradorite of really any kind. But this piece was absolutely stunning. And in terms of artwork, I've got a couple, I think. But there's two that I did. One was for the Janeway Hospital. It was a mural. It was a large canvas. I'll call it a mural, but it was on canvas. And it was called Family Ties, and it was humpback whale and a baby whale. I haven't been down to the Janeway. As a matter of fact, I'm going down there this week, and I want to go see if it's still there, because I donated it to the child development area when the new Janeway opened, and I really, really liked that. And my other piece was a piece I did called Humpback Harmony, again, Wales, and that was for the Newfoundland Symphony Youth Choir. And it was the colors of their Jubilate uniforms and harmony, of course, with the choir. And it was a fundraiser for the choir so they could purchase new uniforms. So I can't say that I have any regrets, but if I had to go back and change things, some people are not going to like this, but I probably wouldn't have done nursing. I probably would have entered the arts. But then on the other hand, I probably wouldn't have known how much I enjoyed the arts after having a nursing career. So I guess it's really, I don't know. Well, you can't change it anyway, can you? So, yeah, I love giving back. I feel really, really fortunate. I don't need a lot. I'll never get rich at this. I don't want to be commercialized per se. And there's a lot of avenues that you can go down to do that, but I think it takes away from you as an artist, because you end up being the master of your business but not the creator of your work, because you get someone else to do it, and I never want to be in that position. So I'll never get rich at it, but I don't want to get rich. I have everything. I'm rich now in where I live and the people that are around me and the staff. I mean, I have Lisa, who's my right hand. I couldn't live without her. So I'm rich in that sense. So I never want to lose that personal, that personal touch. So do it. I have had the most tremendous staff over the last 12, 15 years, more so here because this is the more creative space. We did do some things in our downtown retail location, but most of it was done at my home studio. So they didn't have the opportunity to be in the middle of that, but here everybody does. And even just the retail people had an opportunity to learn. And I know that if I have somebody for 3 or 4 years who is working with me and making things, and that makes them more marketable, whether it be as an artist, or I've had people work with me go into nursing school. One lady has gone on to be a forensic pathologist. So to get back to kind of your question, in that if there's something that you want bad enough, and there's so many areas now, even I'm not that old, but there's so many things that people can do now that they couldn't do 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 years ago, men and women, but maybe, and I guess I speak more to the female side of things, because it was secretary, nurse, teacher, yada, yada, yada. Do your homework. Look what's out there. Look at what's out there for you, whether it be formal training or you've had, sort of a few years of dabbling. Go to other artists, talk to other people. I love to share my knowledge. What good is it if I don't get a chance to pass on what I've learned to other people, good and bad? So I love to share my knowledge, and I have shared a lot of my knowledge with people, or even just advice. And so do your research. If it's something that you are really passionate about and you think you could do it for the rest of your life, then do it. It isn't easy. Nothing's easy. If you're going to university and to get a degree, it isn't easy. So there's nothing out there that's easy. But if you love something enough, it will never become your job. This is not my job. This is my passion. Does it pay the bills? Yep. But I come to work every day. I go home every day looking at articles and looking at YouTube videos and podcasts and reading books on marketing, on jewelry, on anything I can get my hands on. I'm still like a sponge. And so just continue to learn and be open, and be compassionate. Like, just, you're not going to take every piece of advice as gospel when people give it to you, but, pick the bones out of it and take out of it what you feel is good for you. But I guess my advice is, if there's something that you want bad enough, then you can make it happen. And go for it, because it's wonderful.